I used to be a diehard fan of Gemini's web version. After all, it helped me successfully fine-tune Index TTS2, bringing the realism of my cloned voice to around 95%. I even built my own high-quality AI news filtering workflow, which became the automated information source for my weekly AI news recap videos. Honestly, I thought I was already pretty good at using AI until I tried Claude Code. That's when I realized the way I'd been using AI all along was actually pretty inefficient. So if you're still relying on web-based AI, or you think AI isn't really that impressive, make sure you watch this video until the end. Claude Code is essentially an AI agent. Its workflow is surprisingly simple. You describe what you want. In plain language, it breaks your request into a series of specific tasks. Then it writes all the complicated prompts for you, uses them to direct the language model, generates the necessary code, and runs everything directly on your computer. After every step, it checks the results. If everything works, it moves on. If something fails, it reads the error messages, fixes the code, and tries again. Throughout this entire loop, it not only handles all the prompt engineering, but also takes care of the tedious debugging work until the task is fully completed. To make this easier to understand, I'm going to let Claude Code deploy a GitHub project completely on its own so we can see whether it really requires zero manual work. The project we're deploying claims to be one of the best voice expansion models available online. Before we begin, there are 3 things to prepare. First, install Claude Code. I'll explain that at the end of this video because there's a small trick involved. Second, install git-lfs and Python. I've already covered why and how in another video. Third, prepare a prompt. Here's what it contains. The first line is the GitHub repository URL. This project is very popular, so it's easy to find. The second line is the folder I've prepared on my computer to keep everything organized. One important tip: make sure the entire file path contains only English characters. Chinese characters in file paths can easily cause problems. The third and fourth lines are just best practices. Using them makes the deployment process much cleaner and smoother. You can simply copy them. The fifth line is only for verification, so it's optional. Now we can open the project folder, launch command prompt, and type Claude to start Claude Code. However, I'm also adding an extra command. That's because during deployment, Claude Code often needs system-level permissions. Normally, it would keep asking me for approval. Since I wanted a completely hands-free demo, I let it run with maximum privileges. I wouldn't recommend doing this for everyday use because unexpected situations could potentially put your files at risk. Next, I simply paste in the prompt. Claude Code immediately begins deploying the project automatically. The whole process takes more than 2 hours. There are plenty of errors, repairs, and retries along the way. Downloading the AI models also takes quite a while. But throughout the entire process, I never touched the keyboard once. It's honestly incredible. Of course, Claude Code can do much more than this. In my next video, I'll show you how I use it to solve real productivity problems in my daily workflow. If you're interested, don't miss it. Now, some of you might be thinking I'm not comfortable using command line tools. There are already so many alternatives like Cursor, Tray, or open source CLI tools such as OpenCode and iFlow. And besides, Claude Code isn't exactly friendly to users in China. So why should we use it? The answer is simple. Because it's in a league of its own. Watch almost any AI coding comparison and you'll notice that Claude Code is almost always in the top tier. That's because it consistently brings out more of what today's language models are capable of. As for its poor support for Chinese users, here's what I do. I use Claude Code itself for free as my AI agent, but for the language model, I use GLM 4.7. Claude's own models are extremely powerful, but GLM offers much better value for money. For someone like me, it's already more than enough. That's also why I saved the installation guide for the end of this video. Installing Claude Code is actually very easy. Just use the official installation command. However, after installation it forces you to sign in. So simply close it, then use Zhipu AI's automation tool to connect your GLM API to Claude Code. The next time you launch it, you can use it directly. Without logging in, if you're using another model, don't worry. Most AI providers offer similar tools or integration methods. On their official websites. At this point, Claude Code will probably still reply in English. That's easy to fix. Go to the Claude folder. On your C drive. The path usually looks like this. Then create a new file named claude.md in the root directory. Make sure Claude is written in all capital letters. This file defines the rules Claude Code should always follow. For example, you can simply add, "Please always speak Chinese." Save the file. Restart Claude Code, and from then on, it will always reply in Chinese. Some of you have probably already realized something. Since this file controls Claude's behavior, you can also use it to define all kinds of personalized rules. Search online for how experienced users structure their Claude.md files, or if you want, you can even ask Gemini to help you write